your watch list is currently failing you. We are hunting down the absolute best television masterpieces that somehow slipped through the cracks. From haunting alien ecosystems to meta Hollywood satire, these 10 hidden gems are waiting for you right here on Screen Curator. Let's jump into the list. We begin our journey into the overlooked corners of television with a breathtaking masterpiece of modern animation, Scavengers Reign. If you have ever wanted to feel the genuine, terrifying awe of stepping onto an uncharted world, this is the ride you have been waiting for. The story follows the scattered survivors of a deep space freighter crash, stranded on the beautiful yet deeply perilous planet Vesta. But this is no ordinary survival thriller. The creators have crafted a living, breathing alien ecosystem inspired by the surreal, hypnotic art of Mebius, where the planet itself is the main character. Every plant, creature, and weather pattern on Vesta interacts in a complex, symbiotic web that feels like a beautiful but deadly nature documentary. It is a deeply atmospheric, meditative, and occasionally terrifying sci-fi experience that respects your intelligence. The narrative unfolds with a patient, mesmerizing rhythm, letting you discover this strange biology alongside the characters as they try to reunite. It is a rare, hands-on triumph of visual storytelling that pushes the boundaries of what Western animation can achieve. If you crave cerebral science fiction that stays with you long after the credits roll, Scavengers Reign is an absolute must-watch. Sliding into our number 9 spot is a series that serves as the perfect antidote to superhero fatigue, and you absolutely need to queue up Extraordinary right now. Imagine a world where every single human being develops a wildly unique superpower on their 18th birthday. It sounds like standard comic book fare until you meet Jen. She is 25, fiercely cynical, and still completely, utterly powerless. Set in a wonderfully mundane, rain-slicked London, this British comedy brilliance turns the entire concept of the Chosen One completely on its head. Instead of saving the world, people here use their extraordinary gifts for the most hilariously petty, everyday tasks imaginable, like floating to avoid a puddle, or speaking with the dead just to argue over the house chores. Extraordinary is dirty-mouthed, painfully relatable, and brilliantly sharp, capturing that terrifying 20s anxiety of feeling left behind while everyone else seems to be flying ahead. It is a wonderfully human, laugh-out-loud riot that trades capes for chaos. If you are tired of saving the universe and just want a gorgeous, heartwarming story about a glorious mess of a human being trying to navigate adulthood, this is the hidden gem you have been waiting for. Coming in at number 8, you absolutely need to check out The Artful Dodger. This is not your typical stuffy Victorian costume drama. Instead, it is a high-octane, surprisingly visceral sequel to Charles Dickens' Oliver Twist, transporting us to the sweaty, chaotic edge of 1850s Australia. We find Jack Dawkins, the titular rogue, having reinvented himself as a brilliant, fast-talking surgeon in a penal colony. But his past catches up with him in the form of his old mentor, Fagin, forcing him to balance a dual life, saving lives on the operating table by day and executing clever heists by night. What makes this show such an addictive ride is its incredible energy. The creators worked with actual surgeons to make the 19th century medical procedures feel terrifyingly real, bloody, and immediate, yet they pair this historical grit with the slick, fast-paced rhythm of a modern heist thriller. It is witty, incredibly stylish, and anchored by a magnetic performance from Thomas Brodie Sangster. If you want a period piece with actual teeth, some genuine dark humor, and a relentless heartbeat, this is the hidden gem you have been sleeping on. Coming in at number 7 on our countdown, you absolutely need to check out the hypnotic neo-noir series, Sugar. Colin Farrell stars as John Sugar, a private investigator who feels like he stepped straight out of a classic Hollywood film. He is elegant, deeply empathetic, and obsessed with golden age cinema. When he is hired to find the missing granddaughter of a legendary Hollywood producer, the show wraps you in a gorgeous, sun-drenched love letter to classic detective stories. But do not let the familiar tropes fool you. Sugar is a brilliant Trojan horse. The series utilizes an experimental visual style, splicing footage from classic noir masterpieces directly into the narrative, while using intimate camera work that makes Los Angeles feel incredibly alive yet deeply unsettling. Just when you think you have its rhythm figured out, the story pulls the rug out from under you with a daring, genre-defying twist that completely reframes everything you have watched. It is a stylish, melancholic, and utterly unique ride that deserves a spot on your watch list immediately. If you crave a mystery that honors the past while boldly charting its own strange path, this is the hidden gem you have been waiting for. Coming in at number 6 on our countdown is a show that deserves so much more of your attention, the brilliantly macabre Dead Boy Detectives. Imagine the sharp, witty energy of Buffy the Vampire Slayer colliding with the dark, whimsical gravity of Neil Gaiman's Sandman universe, and you are halfway to understanding this show's incredible magic. The premise is an absolute dream. 2 teenage ghosts, Edwin and Charles, refuse to pass over into the afterlife. choosing instead to remain on Earth to solve supernatural mysteries for the undead. Joined by a living clairvoyant, they navigate a world teeming with witches, demons, and lost souls. What makes this series an absolute must-watch is its stunningly bright and weird aesthetic. Rather than sinking into a dreary, predictable Gothic swamp, it explodes with a vibrant comic book color palette and a razor-sharp British wit. It is a stylish, emotionally resonant ride that balances genuine paranormal chills with a deeply moving story of friendship and lingering trauma. If you have been craving a spooky, high-energy mystery that feels entirely fresh yet comfortingly nostalgic, you need to add this underrated masterpiece to your watch list immediately. Landing right at the halfway mark of our countdown at number 5, you absolutely need to queue up the mesmerizing genre-bending thriller Sunny. Set against the neon-drenched, sweltering streets of Kyoto, this brilliant understated gem stars Rashida Jones as Susie, an American expat whose life is shattered when her husband and son vanish in a mysterious plane crash. But the mystery truly begins when she is gifted Sunny, a home help robot engineered by her husband's secret employer. What makes this show an absolute must-watch is how it beautifully weaves crushing grief with sharp pitch-black comedy. Instead of relying on sterile computer graphics, the production team utilized a physical, tactile animatronic built by the legendary Weta Workshop. This gives the robot a shockingly expressive, soulful presence that clashes beautifully with Susie's cynical anger. Together, they form an unexpected, reluctant duo navigating a dangerous underworld of corporate secrets and Yakuza-run high-tech threats. It is a stylish, neon noir puzzle box that asks what we truly know about the people we love, wrapped in a gorgeous Japanese aesthetic. If you crave storytelling that is incredibly stylish, deeply emotional, and delightfully weird, this is the hidden masterpiece you have been searching for. At number 4, you need to add the wildly overlooked dark comedy The Decameron to your watch list immediately. Set against the backdrop of the 14th century Black Death, this series is far from a stuffy historical drama. Created by Kathleen Jordan and executive produced by Genji Kohan, it follows a group of outrageously self-absorbed nobles and their desperate servants who retreat to a lavish Tuscan villa to wait out the pandemic in hedonistic luxury. But as the plague rages outside, the thin veneer of class hierarchy completely disintegrates, transforming this wine-soaked getaway into a chaotic Lord of the Flies-style scramble for survival. It is a sharp, beautifully shot social satire that swaps dry history for soapy, raunchy, and delightfully mean-spirited fun. Filmed on location in Rome's historic Cinecittà Studios, the show is gorgeous to look at, but its real magic lies in its biting modern wit and the sheer anxiety of its pressure cooker environment. If you love sharp-tongued bickering mixed with actual existential dread, this is your next obsession. It is the perfect, chaotic antidote for anyone tired of formulaic television, delivering a brilliant ensemble performance that deserves far more attention than it received. Taking our number 3 spot is the blistering, laugh-out-loud comedy series, The Franchise. If you have ever wondered what it actually looks like when a multi-billion-dollar cinematic universe begins to cannibalize its own soul, this is the brilliant, stress-inducing answer. Crafted by the visionary minds of Sam Mendes, Armando Iannucci, and John Brown, this show takes us behind the scenes of a chaotic, big-budget superhero shoot to follow the exhausted crew members fighting to keep the ship upright. The tension here does not come from Caped Crusaders saving the world, but from overworked creatives surviving fragile actor egos, rogue directors, and the constant soul-crushing dread of 11th-hour studio mandates. It paints a hilariously authentic, anxiety-inducing portrait of modern corporate filmmaking, anchored by a fiercely talented ensemble. The Franchise is an absolute masterclass in high-wire workplace comedy, delivering lightning-fast, razor-sharp dialogue that feels like a spiritual successor to Veep or Succession. If you are exhausted by superhero fatigue, or if you simply love the sheer manic energy of real people trying to make art against impossible odds, this criminally underseen gem is the exact antidote you need. As we approach the very peak of our list at number 2, you absolutely need to check out the brilliant, mind-bending series Interior Chinatown. Based on Charles Yu's acclaimed novel, this show introduces us to Willis Wu, played with wonderful, weary charm by Jimmy O. Yang. Willis is a background character in every sense of the word, literally a background actor trapped in a glossy, stereotypical police procedural called Black and White, playing generic Asian man while serving tables in Chinatown. But his ordinary life spins wildly out of control when he accidentally witnesses a crime, pulling him right into the center of a real-world conspiracy. Directed in part by the visionary Taika Waititi, this show is a pure masterclass in genre-bending television. The series brilliantly shifts between the high-contrast, melodramatic glare of a cop show and the quiet, deeply human reality of Willis's actual life. It is funny, incredibly stylish, and cuts deep into how society casts us all into predefined roles. Interior Chinatown is a sharp, fiercely original meta-thriller that deserves a massive audience. If you want a unique ride that breaks all the rules, put this on your watch list immediately. We have finally reached our absolute peak recommendation, and you need to stop what you are doing and cue up the mind-bending sci-fi masterpiece, Constellation. This is the crown jewel of modern psychological thrillers, a show that brilliantly combines the cold, terrifying isolation of deep space with a haunting domestic mystery. The story follows an astronaut, played with fierce, breathless intensity by Noomi Rapace, who survives a horrific disaster aboard the International Space Station. But when she returns to Earth, the relief is short-lived. The life she left behind doesn't match the life she has returned to. Key memories are missing, her daughter feels like a stranger, and the very fabric of her reality begins to fray. The brilliance of this show lies in its tactile, claustrophobic realism. Instead of relying on cheap digital effects, the production built a physical, full-scale replica of the space station, making every floating moment feel heavy with dread and authenticity. It is a masterclass in tension that uses the bizarre theories of quantum physics to fuel a deeply emotional conspiracy. If you want a thriller that respects your intelligence and leaves you genuinely questioning what is real, this is your next obsession. And that's our list of 10 incredible overlooked television experiences that demand your attention. If you enjoyed this dive into the hidden corners of the streaming landscape, hit that subscribe button and leave a like to help these stories find the audience they deserve. These shows blur the lines between high-concept sci-fi, dark comedy, and period satire, but which of these genres do you think is currently taking the biggest creative risks? I'm curious to see which of these titles you'll be starting tonight. Here are some more videos of ours you can watch right now. Thanks for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next one.